at an early voting site in Riviera Beach called Black Men Stand Up, Each One Bring One. The point? To ensure that at least 500 men of color, black men, men of Caribbean descent, Africans, as I said, of the African diaspora in Palm Beach County, show up that day at the polls to vote. And if you go, black man, don't go alone. Each one, bring one. And interestingly, there have been lots of other voting-related similar events across Palm Beach County in our communities. Just last weekend, for example, the Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity had what they called It's a New Day event, where they had young people whom they called the young and the bold to take the microphone and talk about why they're pushing so hard for change during these unprecedented times. The Palm Beach County Clergy Alliance had a similar event, Souls to the Polls, while one of our guests today also had a similar event last weekend, Protest to the Polls. And more similar events are coming up. But the main question for me, ladies and gentlemen, is how did voting become so critically important this year? Was it because of George Floyd? Was it because of ex-felons in Florida and the poll tax that was created? Was it because of our orange president? What? Oh, sorry.
Yes, what's going
Joining us this evening to help answer that main question is Riviera Beach Councilman Douglas Lawson and West Palm Beach-based attorney Richard Riles, who served one term on the West Palm Beach City Commission. Both of them grew up in Palm Beach County. Both are college educated with advanced degrees. Both are self-employed entrepreneurs. Both of them serve. Both of them lead. Councilman Lawson, for the first time, ran for office in 2019 and won a seat on the City Council of Riviera Beach. He is the owner of Lawson Solutions, an umbrella firm that provides lots of services related to home ownership, business development, and counseling services. He is also an avid volunteer and philanthropist, hosting events that give back to the community and donating money to help young people and their families. Plus, he hosts lots of events related to mental health and wellness and substance abuse counseling. Indeed, just last night, ladies and gentlemen, he hosted a virtual event in his district called Mental Health Forum, Election Fear and Anxiety. Also joining us is attorney Richard Riles, a native of West Palm Beach who is most concerned about equality, justice, and fairness. Maybe that's why he's a lawyer, which he's been for 30 years. He specializes in wrongful death and personal injury cases and has won more than $50 million on behalf of his clients. He is also politically active, having served one term on the West Palm Beach City Commission, as I said, even though he didn't run for re-election, and is today president of the Democratic Black Caucus of Palm Beach County. Councilman Lawson, Attorney Riles, thank y'all for joining us today on Cocoa Chats on Super Jams Radio.
Wait. Y'all gonna say that one more time? Yeah, say that one more time.
Say one more time.
Thank you for having us.
Right.
Thank you both for having us. Thank you so much.
So I just gotta jump in here and say something before you go any further. For all you listeners out there, you guys know about Mr. Lawson, right? Councilman Lawson. But just know that he advertised here when he was running for office, right here on Super Jams Radio. And everybody who advertised here on Super Jams Radio got into office.
Okay.
He was one of them. So
She's right.
Just want you to know.
I'm just saying. Okay?
I'm just saying.
Okay.
Now y'all can continue with your
as
show.
we do in the hood, okay? I'm just saying.
Thank you for your support.
Always. Thank you.
But you know, and since you were talking to Councilman Lawson first, let me ask you something. Is it true that you are of Jamaican descent, sir?
Yes, ma'am. My family, my father is from Kingston. My mother is from Westmoreland.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
So we're first generation born here in the United States. I was born in Bronx, New York, and they realized it was too cold up there, so they moved down to Florida when we were very young.
So they moved down.
He's not descent. He's Jamaican, all right?
Okay.
Jamaican through and through. Jamaican through and through.
I had heard that, but I wasn't sure. But I wonder why you were so connected to Tropical Cooler Fest. Because I know you will always be there at all of the events and everything.
I was one of the partners and co-sponsors for all the events, and that was one of the major festivals here for the Caribbean family to really support and encourage the festivities of Jamaica, the independence. We go back as far as One Love Festival that we've done almost 10 years ago. So. Yeah.
All right, but I'm just curious, has that background as a Caribbean, has that affected you in any way in terms of what you're doing now?
It's given me the drive and motive to just kind of keep pushing further. My parents, being first generations, moving here to the States, had to fight for what they have, every piece, every platform that they have, every position that they've built on. And it kind of showed me that hard work and dedication of how to actually take it to the next level, how to encourage individuals, descendants of as they call a third world country, which is probably one of the most beautiful islands in the world.
Okay.
They call it a third world country, and them showing that they can fight for what they need and rights that they have here. And the many years it took for my mother to get her citizenship and then get her rights to vote, becoming a citizen here, it was just something that empowered me to continue to push forward.
And I wonder who it was that called your country a shithole.
You can't say that word, Marion.
We're on the radio. We're on the radio. We're on the
Who said
radio.
it?
I didn't say it. I didn't say it. I said my parents had to fight for what they needed and their right to vote here in this country, and they made sure they voted.
Okay. So let Marion Dozier change the subject.
I don't have a
Jillian
mute
Smart.
button. I need
Okay.
a mute button for Marion, y'all.
All right. So y'all too, tell us the backstory behind y'all's event this weekend, the Black Men Stand Up. And Attorney Riles, go ahead and fill us in, sir.
Thank you, Marion. Douglas and I, as well as Michael Carter and City of West Palm Beach Commissioner Corey Nearing, were brainstorming on how we could motivate black men, because I don't think it's a secret that black men have been very apathetic about voting. And so we decided that one of the things that always does get black men motivated is competition. And so we created the Each One Bring One competition. We challenged, each of us challenged 10 men to bring 10 men so that we could reach the 500. And then we went ahead and got in touch with the people down south. And so then it became a North versus South competition with Chuck Ridley and Ray Whitley. And so it has grown from the four of us to a greater number of folks wanting to be involved.
But why specifically black men? And maybe you can answer that, Councilman Lawson. Why not black women as well?
Well, black women actually outpaced black men by over 12% in the last election.
In terms of voting?
In terms of voting. And black women have been dragging their black men to the polls for years. And when we, as the black men, are supposed to be the lead, are supposed to lead the household, are supposed to be encouraging our community, we need to take charge. So we encourage our black men because they've already been the leaders. They've been showing that they're going to stand strong, our black women. So what we decided is black men, as being community leaders, as being entrepreneurs, as being business owners, as being fathers, if we're truly going to lead by example, we have to kind of stand out and make sure that we're going to get our black men to vote.
And is there anything specific about this year, this election season, that made y'all act in this way? Anything in particular?
The last 4 years is seeing the last 4 years of what this country has gone through has encouraged me to actually go run for office because I've been elected for about 18, 19 months. But seeing what effects has happened to this country. As a business owner, financially, me personally, I'm doing very well because economics for individuals that know how to take advantage of the system are working out very well. But the respect and love for this country, we lost that. The direction that this country needs to go, the optics that we've had, they died by the wayside. And that's why we have to encourage everybody to get out and vote because just my Caribbean family overseas, everyone looks at our country as the S-hole, as you would want to call it, because now there's no respect for the leadership that we have in place. And that's why we as the black men have to actually take charge and be the leaders. So if we can mobilize and activate, the direction of this election is going to be based upon the black community. And essentially, we are going to be the ones that can dictate. So regardless of what direction you see or what's going to happen, if we get out and vote, we win.
Do you have anything to add to that, Attorney Riles?
Yeah, I think that I was in Paris in 18, and the Parisians were asking us what is going on in America, and we have become the laughing stock of the world instead of the leader of the free world. And
And I wonder why that is.
well, it starts at the top. And one of the things that we've seen, and one of the efforts that I've been a part of, is the fact that what had been in the undercurrent of America, the racism, the bigotry, has come to the fore, and they have become very bold in their desire to take us back to a time when we couldn't even vote, and both politically and socially. And so we have the militias, we have the Republicans doing any and everything that they can to suppress our votes. And so we've had to become more proactive in trying to protect our voting rights in this country.
And I saw a story in the Palm Beach Post last week about you and your role as the chair of the Democratic Black Caucus of Palm Beach County, that you had raised a concern about safety for Black people, at the polling sites. And I guess you had a press conference about it. But I read a story just last week about that same topic, that it actually did happen in Jupiter, that there were supporters of our
President.
yes, not our Black president.
Well, I'm going to say president,
But our
not president.
orange
Come
one.
on
Yes.
now. All right.
Okay.
I'm saying president. He is
were
what he is.
supporters of our current president were allegedly harassing people in the parking lot of this early voting site. Did you see that story?
Oh, yeah.
And is that the sort of thing that you were concerned about that might happen to us?
I was concerned about not only the voter intimidation, but violence. We already saw in Michigan where a militia had put in play a plan to kidnap and murder
Which was astounding.
the
The
governor. Yeah. And those very same militia groups and the mindset that created them exists here. I mean, in fact, we have a Proud Boys organization which is active here in Palm Beach County and in Miami-Dade and Broward. So we have to be, we can't stick our head in the sand and act as if these things aren't occurring. We have to be proactive.
So when you had that press conference last week that I just mentioned, Attorney Riles, did you get any kind of support from the local, law enforcement, or no?
Well, I think we're blessed in Palm Beach County that the major cities in the county are policed. The chiefs of those cities are African American. So in Riviera Beach, in West Palm Beach, in Boynton, and in Delray, as well as FAU and Palm Beach State College, all have African Americans at their head. So I have all of them in my Rolodex, and I was able to get some assurances from each one of them. But as a result of the actions that occurred in Jupiter, the state attorney issued a press release indicating that he was putting the sheriff on alert to make sure that the voting and polling places were all safe.
Wow.
Any comment on that, Attorney?
That initiative.
Councilman Lawson.
Thank you, ma'am. That initiative that Attorney Riles put together with really trying to keep our community safe, keep our voters safe, and keep individuals safe was needed because people kind of turn a blind eye to how contentious this election truly is. And we need to make sure that we are protected, and we need to make sure that our voting rights are protected, and make sure that there's no fear factor put in place. So with our state attorney, with our police force, they all put in place initiatives to say that this will be a felony if voting is actually intimidating our voters. We understand that we just need to move forward and work together. So and that was the best thing for Attorney Riles to put together.
And it was particularly concerning to us because statistics show that African Americans and our older citizens tend to vote on election day. So it would be easy to pick us off versus and I've encouraged people to early vote and up until yesterday vote by mail. We're asking that people don't send in any more ballots by mail because they may not be counted given the delays that the Postal Service has had is anticipated having between now and November 3rd. And so as to make sure that their votes are counted, either drop your ballot off at the ballot box, the drop box at the Supervisor of Elections office, or go in person and vote.
So why is there such a push to vote by mail and to vote early? I mean, is that just because of the pandemic or because of something else, at least, from where y'all sit? Because I'm just planning to go on November the 3rd. But
The biggest thing is just getting your vote counted, and the vote by mail was an option because of the pandemic, because there was a fear of actually going into the polling stations, of actually going out and standing in these long lines, and just making sure you're counted. So I don't want you to wait, Ms. Marion, until November 3rd. I'd love for you to go early, just because anything can happen.
Even though I'm a woman.
Even though you're a woman, especially because you're a woman, and take 3 black men with you. So
Okay. Don't take one, take 3.
Take 3, as many as you can get there, because essentially we need to make sure that our votes are counted. We need to make sure that you get there, and I don't want you to wait till November 3rd. That's why we did the protest to the polls the day before early voting started, because we wanted to let everybody know, get outside. Get to the polling station day one. The minute it's open, get there. In Wells Gym, in my district, there literally is no wait. You're in and out within 10 to 15 minutes. If you go in there, have yourself educated, make an intentional vote, you can be out of there within 10 minutes flat. There's no line out that door. November 3rd, there's going to be a line around the corner. I don't want individuals to see that line and get discouraged and say, I'll get the next one. I want them to get it done and get it knocked out from now.
And you agree, Attorney Rouse? I see
Yeah,
you nodding your head.
absolutely. And as it stands now, I got a report from the state Black Caucus that 293,000 African American Democrats have not voted yet.
Statewide or in Palm Beach County?
Statewide.
That's the difference.
Statewide.
That's the difference in the number of registered Republicans and registered Democrats. It's about 178,000 in number. So
Right.
those, what's the number?
293,000.
Y'all better start. Get out there.
And
We need you.
the Republicans have outvoted us by 50,000 in this state.
Florida?
In this state, as of yesterday. So we have to get motivated and get moving, and in order to hit the numbers that I think we're going to need, because we could win the election and still lose because the Trump administration has been able to stack the Supreme Court. And if it's anything like Bush Gore 2000, with the Supreme Court having the majority being conservative, it wouldn't be out of the realm that we lose the election in court versus at the ballot box. And so that's why we're encouraging it to be a landslide election in order to assure that we get what we're looking for.
And there are 2 counties that can really flip this state. Broward County, Palm Beach County can absolutely flip this state.
Right.
If we have Broward County, as a matter of fact, people who've moved up here from Broward, and we have that going on. A lot of people move up to Palm Beach County from Broward. They can actually help to flip this state. If no other county can, Broward can, and the people who have migrated up to Palm Beach County can help with that.
Yep.
Now, I'm just wondering, what are y'all hearing from people who are not, with the fists in the air or frowns on their faces, just regular everyday people, when y'all are saying, get to, vote, 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 with your fists in it. What are y'all hearing from them? Are they just like, what is all, why y'all so, upset? I mean, what? Calm down. What are y'all hearing from people? Just curious.
So what we're hearing in the community is just the individuals, they're getting bombarded. The media is flooding them. They've actually, Senator Powell, I spoke with him this week, and he told me, give me a stat, that the current president of the United States has been on the TV every single day for the last 4 years. That overwhelming nature has kind of disenfranchised, discouraged, and caused for individuals to just not have an interest in this. So once you say vote, that 4-letter word is like cursing at them, because essentially the mentality of these individuals have been drained so much to actually disconnect them from this environment, because they feel like nothing's going to change anyway. And the issue is as a black man, that's why we're encouraging. You asked earlier, why black men, or why are we pushing for black men? Because we've been voting for years and we're still seeing the same effects. within our community. We're still seeing knees on our neck. We're still seeing
Oh.
our individuals. We're still seeing our men killed in the streets. So the problem that we have is we're disconnected from the political spectrum, from governance, and from everyday life.
I'm so glad you said that because I was going to ask. We get these 500 people, 1,000, whatever, 10,000 people to go to the to the polls. What's next for our community? I mean, because I know Broward generally has a State of Black Broward that they do in January. We used to have a state of Palm Beach County. What's next? Because I see us as having a voice, having an opportunity to create a political platform for us as a people outside of the parties. What's next for us?
Well, I think that, and I was talking with Michael Carter about this just yesterday.
And Michael Carter is one of his staffers in his.
He's my assistant
Okay.
and my right-hand man. We will have to create a black agenda, and in that agenda, set forth what we expect from our political leadership, as well as what we expect to occur over the next 4 years. Because what is it? The failure to plan, or if you don't have a plan, the failure to plan is a plan for failure. And so I have had the honor of working in both the Coleman Young administration in Detroit and for Marion Barry in D.C. And what I can say from both of those experiences is that people saw exactly how their vote translated into a change in their lives. Unfortunately, because we have really only been in power in Palm Beach County and had black electeds with any numbers since 1990, when we got Maud Ford Lee as the first county commissioner on the and so unfortunately a lot of our political leadership have they are new at it, they didn't get the mentorship of older politicians and the lessons that you learn from being on the job. And so and one of the reasons I supported Douglas over here is because he was a guy willing to hone his craft, willing to understand how politics translates into people's everyday lives. And once we start showing folks, okay, when you voted for this guy, here are the changes. In 1989, when I was in D.C., people were still talking about Marion Barry's jobs program from the 70s. And so everybody still talked about the fact that they had a summer job. Every child that lived in the District of Columbia got a summer job. And so it's that kind of quid pro quo for your vote that gets people motivated and keeps people interested.
And just a follow up, just a continuation with that. One of the biggest things you asked is, what are we going to do next? We're going to do it again in March. We're going to get the same organization to vote. We're going to do it in August. We're going to go out and vote. We're going to do it in November. Everybody needs to continue and vote, because not just on a presidential, they don't realize how impactful local elections are. So we have to get them out and get our residents out to vote. So after we do it on November 3rd, we're going to get them again in all of our local. And then we're going to hold whoever we put in office accountable. Like Brother Rao said, we need to have an agenda. We need to have them and hold them accountable. One of my mentors, actually, Mr. Rao's right hand, Michael Carter, is the one that introduced me to Maynard Jackson, the former mayor of Atlanta, Georgia, and had me read his book before I got into office. He was just like, listen, study this guy and understand what he did in Atlanta, Georgia. And they call Atlanta the Mecca.
It is.
That's kind of where, and you have to kind of duplicate and replicate some of the amazing leaders that have come up through the times to kind of create that same environment. We don't need to recreate it. We just need to kind of duplicate what was already done.
What do y'all have any concern about black ex-felons and their being able to get their right to vote back and then being able to vote?
I'm going to pause right here. We're going to go to commercial break. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. This is important. We're going to extend this until 7 o'clock. We're going to extend this. So don't go anywhere. Real important.
Ready?
No. 14,
Oh,
10, 9,
all right, just do it like another
7,
10 minutes. That's
6,
it. Okay.
5, 4, 3, 2. Open.
All right, and if y'all are just joining us here on Coco Chats with me, Marion Dozier, your host, we are talking today about voting in the hood with Riviera Beach City Councilman Douglas Lawson and with West Palm Beach-based attorney Richard Riles. And before we took the cut, we were just about to talk. I was asking our guests about, as we talk about voting, and especially black men voting, I'm wondering if y'all have any particular concern about ex-felons in Florida who are affected by this poll tax created by the state legislature after 70% of the state of Florida voted to give them back their rights to vote. Tell me, Attorney Riles, what's your view on that? Are y'all concerned about ex-felons?
Well, there was an initiative that was financed primarily by Mayor Bloomberg from New York City that paid the fines for quite a number of the felons. Unfortunately, the state didn't have, number one, the total that everybody owed, nor did they have the identity of everyone.
Yes.
So
Which was just
many of the
amazing.
ex-felons, the returning citizens, were voting at their peril. And we can see that if you aren't absolutely sure that your voting has been restored, then you are voting at your peril. And if we don't win this election, you can rest assured that they will try and make an example of everyone who is not legal to vote.
Any thoughts on that, Councilman Lawson?
It's the excitement of just seeing our returning citizens voting. I've seen it on a daily basis, and
Really?
I see the ones that have restored their rights. They're going out and they're excited. Some of them have never voted. Some haven't voted in 10, 20 years.
Wow.
So to see these rights try to be taken from them should encourage you more to get to those polling stations, more to make sure that you're registered in our local and our presidential, national elections, and get out there and exercise that right, because it's been restored to you. But right now, the fight is going to continue. After November 3rd, that fight to reinstate our returning citizens, to make sure that they're not discriminated against. Because when we voted that amendment in by close to 70%, there was no discussions of making sure the fines were paid. There were no discussions of making sure that they had crossed X, Y, and Z, or had their T's crossed. It was just, if you were a returning citizen, you had your rights reinstated.
Yeah.
But now, because decisions are being made by individuals that are elected into office, you have to understand
Like our
that
own president.
you have to understand that you have to get out and vote, and you have to be intentional with that vote, because these decisions were made from up top. So they come down, they circle down, and because of the decision that was made for who was put into office, they're fighting for the rights that were reinstated by the people.
And can I add something?
Yes.
In addition to the felons, and we want to make sure that we protect them, I'm going to encourage every parent to take their children to the polls with them.
Yes.
You know, if there was one thing I did right
I
as a
agree with
parent,
that.
was that I took my children from the time they could walk until they could vote themselves to the polls.
Yep.
And both of my children came from far away in order to make sure that they were able to cast their votes in this election. And that was without me having to say a word. And I didn't have to encourage. And so we need to make voting a habit. And we need to make sure that they understand just how important it is and just what sacrifices. You know, one of the things the Jewish people have is called a Seder. And what it talks about is their their walk through the wilderness in the 40 years of them wandering, and they have
Bitter herb
all
and all
bitter
that.
herbs. They have a symbolism, and we need to do more of that because we have walked through the wilderness and we have eaten the bitter herbs of this country. And our children should not take it for granted. And the only way they won't take it for granted is if we impart those lessons to them.
Kwanzaa offers those something similar to Seder. So this year more than ever, I think I would like to see us really delve into some Kwanzaa celebrations as a community and really uplift the symbolism and the principles behind it. I'm just saying.
Like black people do. I'm just saying. Okay. Kwanzaa. Okay.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
since we changed the
I'm
subject,
giving you that job. No, we ain't changing the subject.
no. Since we changed the subject, one thing I always wondered, why do you, Councilman Lawson, sponsor so many events related to mental health and wellness? Just curious.
So recently, I actually just left the business of mental health and wellness, substance abuse and mental health. I was in the business for about 6 years. Seeing and growing up as a young man, mental health wasn't something that was talked about and discussed in our community. In my household, it was either praying it out or sleep it off. It wasn't going to see a therapist. It was go talk to your pastor, go on your bed. There's no discussions about.
Hush him out, boy.
Yeah, hush your boat.
Hush him out, boy. Again,
It wasn't talking about your feelings. My parents, where they loved me dearly, there's a certain compassion that they didn't truly understand and grow up with, so they didn't pass
sissy
it
if
down
you talk
to us.
about it.
Exactly. So being two young men in the household, that wasn't something that was bestowed onto us. My mother is a strong-minded, strong-willed, hard-working Jamaican woman.
Of course.
But the love, compassion, and the heartfelt, just hugging, it's gonna be okay. Let's go talk to somebody. That wasn't a discussion.
Yeah.
So moving forward and understanding that mental health and wellness was essential within the minority Black community, it was something that we had to visit, something that I want to normalize, and those discussions that we have to normalize, because we need to realize that our mental health and wellness needs to be addressed on a daily basis. It needs to make sure that self-care is something that you look at. Right now during this election, that's something we talked about last night.
I mean, during this pandemic, I mean, everybody's like crazy.
We haven't even touched the pandemic when it
COVID
came to
crazy.
this. So sitting in the house, being locked in the house, and you had families and households that were just going at it. You had individuals and kids that leave the house just because they want to get away from that environment, that toxic environment. You have couples and relationships. We had the highest filing of divorce cases in the last few months just because of this pandemic. So it's affected the
Crazy.
mindset and mentality of individuals, and we have to address it. Individuals don't understand that there's somebody you can talk to and have a conversation with to discuss your concerns, your needs, and your wellness, because you have to take care of yourself. If you're not mentally or physically or spiritually prepared, you can be no support for anyone else.
Good
So you
point.
have to take care of yourself first before you can help anybody else.
And Attorney Rounds, you're nodding your head over there as he was talking. You agree?
Oh yeah, from a personal vantage point, I've seen more people have to go to drug rehab, alcohol rehab, as a result of the pandemic and the stresses that it's caused, financially, socially, and I concur with Commissioner Lawson 100%.
Yeah.
Okay. And I want to ask you one unrelated question too, if I can, sir.
Certainly.
Why didn't you run for re-election? Everybody wants to
You
know
got a
that.
smile
because
out
you
of that
wanna-
one.
That's for the book.
Oh, okay. Because everybody really, thought you did a really good job, and that district, normally has,
It's
a
for the
person of
book. It's
color
for the
in
book.
it.
Gotta
but-
buy the book.
I will say this. Being in an elected office and not having the ability to affect change was very frustrating. And,
Yeah.
the way the commission is set up in West Palm Beach, the city commissioners only get to rubber stamp what the mayor does and really don't have any power. And so to make that kind of sacrifice for my family, I had to think twice about it.
Oh, okay.
essentially making that sacrifice as an elected is something that is difficult. That's why we cannot get many leaders to serve within this governance, because they're not respected, not appreciated, not supported within the community, and especially if you don't have the power. I'm in the city of Revere Beach. It's been a difficult journey, and
In
when we
what
talk
sense?
when we talk about that's another topic.
Mental-
November
Mental
3rd
That's
is
another show.
November 3rd is what we're talking about here tonight. But the trials that you go through with being an elected, with dealing with a community that doesn't support or believe in the governance, that is following individuals and leaders blindly. It unfortunately has affected why the community looks the exact same from when I went to school there. As a high school graduate going to Suncoast, the city has not changed. So that's the dynamic that we have to change, and it's a difficult journey. So as an elected, if you do not have the power to make change and you can be more impactful on the other side, I look at it from both sides now, and I kind of look at the option of saying, hey, what if I wasn't elected? I know where to actually address and how to handle things. They say you can either be a politician or you can buy a politician. That's how this government works. So why is it that I'm jeopardizing the integrity of my business, my family, and my time, losing money to serve a community when essentially so many other communities are just buying them? But
So why are you? Why do you do it?
it's the passion and the drive that I have as a young individual that's seen the divide within this community, see the fact that gentrification is happening to the city of Revere Beach, seeing that we're on a beachfront, portfront, railroad system that has that trifecta.
It's a black city
one of the
on the
major
beach.
industrial that's 65% black, 83% minority, and we're losing it. We've been losing it for years, and essentially, if we blink our eyes, it'll be lost. So if we do not do something or impact something right now, it will be lost, and my kids won't be able to reap the benefits of what the city has to offer.
So we had great conversations when you were running, right?
Yes, ma'am.
One of the questions was, how is and this is a different topic for a different show, but how is the city,
Yes.
or is the city recruiting black businesses to, trying to attract black-owned businesses to the city? And
Yeah, that's another show.
that's another show. I don't want you to answer it, but
I'm gonna touch on it. I mentioned Maynard Jackson before. That was kind of the mindset and direction when I got into office, and that has to be the focus. We have to recruit more leaders. We have to recruit more black businesses. We have to support and uplift them. If we don't put them into power and we don't encourage them to actually want to come back home to work for the city, to start the businesses, entrepreneurship, right now there won't be any resources for them, and it will just be high rises up and down Broadway, and it won't be recognizable. So we'll address that the next time. I will be back as soon as this election's
Yeah,
over, Ms.
yeah.
Swan.
You
I'm
better be
committing
back.
to that
You
on
better.
camera.
I want a commitment from y'all before you
Yes.
finish, Marion, for a State of the Black Union of Palm Beach, State of Black Palm Beach.
Yeah.
We need to do that.
You have my commitment.
All right.
I'm committed to
And,
it.
and
All right.
Attorney Rouse, did you have anything that you wanted to say in response to what? Because you were with a nod in your head, so I wanted.
That's one of the things
Makes
that we
sense.
talked about with Douglas before he decided to run. What we felt was necessary in order to take us to the next level. Unfortunately, we have done things the same old way and expected different results for far too long, and it's now time that the new age of politician, and which includes the generation of Councilperson Lawson, to step forward and bring some of the new ideas and bring the technology and bring all of the things that other places are doing that seem to be working to bear here in Palm Beach County.
We've been operating as electeds, as a community, with a definition of insanity. And
What? I'm
Attorney
sorry.
Rouse just
Did you say with a definition of insanity?
Attorney Rouse just addressed it with the fact that we continue to do the same thing over and over and over and expect a
And
different
expect
result.
something different.
And we're not seeing it. So that's why we have to be intentional. We have to start with November 3rd. And as I said again, we have to move on to March. We have to move on to August. And we have to keep doing that. And then when we do that, we hold them accountable. But at the same time, whoever we put in office, we have to have an agenda. Because if we just start randomly putting people there without knowing what our ask is, it's a waste of time. Definition of insanity. So November 3rd, that's where we have to focus on. And we're going to be there this Sunday. Discussing and bring one back to the polls at Wells, starting at 3 p.m.
500
Right, and
black
that's
men.
That's
At
what I
least
was gonna ask
500.
you.
At least.
At
So,
least.
and if people want to get more information about coming or about about whatever, who should give us some contact information if people need to find
They
out
can hit either
more?
one of our Facebook page. I'm Richard Riles or the Riles Firm. We're always monitoring those and make sure that we can give you any information that you might need in order to be a part of the event. Doug, you can give the information for your
Yes,
social media.
Douglas Lawson in the city of Riviera Beach on Facebook. Those are the best contacts. Social media is a great platform for us to work off of.
Y'all are such millennials.
What are you talking about? You are too. She's faking it right now, guys. She's faking it. Oh my gosh, what a show,
See-
Marion.
All right, but and I appreciate these extra 15 minutes. I appreciate these extra 15 minutes you gave us, Miss Jillian.
I know you almost had a conniption when I said that.
Miss Marion is about her scheduling, and she stays on point because I got a text message when I was 2 minutes late, so I understand.
Let me tell you, she get upset, she'll start blowing steam up in here.
There
I'm
we go.
telling you.
There we go.
John frowning. But I really thank the two of you for coming on to the show
Thank you.
and
Thank you.
talking about these really important things. I mean, God, voting is so incredibly important.
It is absolutely,
So, yes.
and everything else that they touched on in between there. So,
I know
it's-
because I think there's like 2 or 3 shows that y'all both expressed, since you've been here.
I have to come back. I already committed to it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
I'm with the State of the Black Palm Beach.
yes.
That's your thing.
Yeah, that's where the agenda comes out. That's
Yes.
where the identification. That's it. That's it.
I'll call Dale to make sure that we get some input from him on how to do it right.
Yeah, I've got his number too now. We can. Yeah, you call him. I'll back it up. And,
All right.
Because it's an awesome program, and we can build a platform from this.
All right.
We
And
don't
on
have to
that
be
note,
disrespected. Yes, our vote don't have to be disrespected. That's all I'm
correct.
saying.
Okay.
Right? Not anymore.
I hear you, Miss Lady. So, Douglas Lawson, City Councilman from Riviera Beach, thank
Yes.
you so much for coming on to Cocoa Chats
Thank
tonight
you.
to talk
Thank you
about
so much
your
for
big
having me, Miss
events.
Marion. I appreciate you. Thanks for
And
having us.
thank you, Attorney Richard Riles from West Palm Beach and the Riles Firm.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. And y'all, thank y'all for tuning in, and hope that you black men who were listening, that y'all show up. Or at least visit these two black men's social media pages and ask any questions you have or say whatever you want to say.
Where they're
But,
marching from? Where does the march begin?
We're going to be at Wells starting at 3 o'clock from
Okay.
3 till polls close.
And we're going to have free food, music, entertainment. There's a movement across this nation where they're dancing to the polls, they're singing to the polls, they're shouting to the polls, whatever it takes. Get to the polls.
And
So it's just getting there.
And maybe since we got this Jamaican involved, maybe we'll have some reggae and some soca there too.
You know we have to. Miss Smart going to bring the music, I'm sure.
Okay. Thank y'all so much for tuning in.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Yay.
Very good.
God, just as I was having a hot flash. Perfect.
You got it. Not